Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 53 units of real estate and help coach people to buy their first multifamily deal. So today I want to talk about how I obtained financial freedom and made work optional after 8 years of investing in real estate. So I have no partners. I hope to keep this no fluff, no BS, very straight to the point, as I always am, and just really give you the full picture of my financial journey. So if y'all know or you're new, I basically graduated pharmacy school in 2013 with $250,000 of student debt. So the cost of that student debt was making a low six-figure income. So my first job was about $120,000 in Little King City, California, right? There's a small little hospital there. And that's where I got my first start as a pharmacist. And actually I forgot before that, I actually started off in Walgreens. Got fired from that Walgreens. I have a video about it. It's my most viral video for some reason. Got my second job at this small little hospital, making $120 or $120K a year. I think it was like $55 an hour, something like that. And I had $250,000 of student debt. So all I knew for literally the first 4 years of me graduating pharmacy school was to pay off my student debt. That's all I knew. So obviously, you graduate with a lot of student debt, you graduate with a good W-2 income, but they never really taught you in school, like despite having a doctorate level degree, how to manage your money. Like I maybe had like one hour session my whole life about managing my finances. So my default, which I picked up from my parents, was to save money. So basically saving money means you spend less than you make. Then you take whatever is left over and you throw that at your student debt. And that's what I did for the first 4 years. So during this, from 2013 all the way to 2017, all I did was make money, keep my living expenses low. So I basically didn't lifestyle inflate. I didn't get a new car. I rented a room. I lived at home. I didn't eat at fancy restaurants. I didn't go on fancy vacations because I was trying to establish myself financially and I wanted to pay off my student debt. So literally during those 4 years, I just focused on job hopping because every time I job hopped, my income increased. I think for my first job, I was $120K, $55 an hour to about $70 an hour, which is about $150K-ish. So I jumped up my salary by $30,000, but also because of this job hop, I was able to live at home with my mom for free. And that reduced my living expense, that reduced my food expense because I didn't eat out as much because I was living at home. And, once again, if there's overtime, I'd pick it up. If, I got differential if I worked the evening shift, I got differential if I worked graveyard shift. I didn't really care. I just picked up whatever shift and I took that money and I threw it at my student loans. So that's what I did for the first 4 years, right? I refinanced my student debt. I focused on increasing my income. I focused on increasing my expenses low. And then I took the margin, the difference, and threw it at my student loans. But I didn't do that until after I built up my emergency reserve of around $10,000. That was enough for me. And I basically started maxing out my 401k about after maybe 2 years of working as a pharmacist because my first job didn't offer a 401k. So I just would max that out. Whatever's left over, I would just kind of throw at my student debt. So I remember in like September of 2017, I made my last payment, paid off my student debt. My interest rate that I refinanced to was like 4%. So it wasn't even that bad, but that's, like I said, that's all I knew. And after I paid off my student debt, I just said, okay, what's next? And this is when I learned about index funds. This is when I wanted to save up for my first house. So I didn't even have the intention for the first 4 years or 5 years of being a pharmacist, of becoming a real estate investor. I didn't know about the FIRE movement. I didn't listen to podcasts back then. I didn't have a mentor teach me anything. I just literally said, okay, I paid off my student debt and now I want to save up for a house that I live in. And I didn't mind, I'll buy the house, I'll live in it. I'm a single guy. I can rent out some rooms. I didn't know about house hacking back then, but I knew that my parents would always rent out one room in their house and I would help them post it on Craigslist back then and respond to the emails. That's all I did. So I just thought, well, I just can do what mom and dad did and kind of emulate that a little bit, right? But I didn't know that was house hacking, to be honest. I just thought, oh, like I just can post this on Craigslist, I can post this on Facebook Marketplace, was kind of the new thing. And so, once again, I saved for that down payment, using the same strategies, right? I job hopped. I became my first director position, making about 185K, something like that. And I basically was living at home still, saving money. And my expenses were very minimal. Like, I think I was only spending like $1,000 a month. And I still lived a pretty good life, I would say. Like, I traveled using credit card points. I ate out, didn't necessarily eat at nice restaurants every time. But, for me, eating out was more about being social, hanging out with my friends, my buds, taking out my girlfriends to eat somewhere. And then if I wanted to do something, like if I wanted to like go to this event, I would just go. Like I didn't really compromise that much, but I knew what I was saving for, right? So I was very like intentional is how I describe it, and how I was spending my money, because I knew that I had a goal. So after I saved up for my down payment on the house, that's when I bought my first house hack in the Bay Area, and specifically in Livermore, California. So from there, I put 10% down. So I put $8,000 down, and I had a 4% interest rate at the time in 2017. And keep in mind, during this time, people were telling me it's going to crash, right? Because it crashed in 2008, and they said every 10 years it crashed. So people were telling me, don't buy, just live at home for free, and save your money. And these were my parents telling me this. These are my friends telling me this. These are my relatives telling me this, right? But I didn't listen to that. And I just like, you know what? I can afford this down payment. I plan on renting out the rooms. And worst case, if I can't rent out the rooms, I'm still working. So like I can afford this thing, right? To buy time. So I got the house, and I did post it on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. I think I got most of my rooms rented out on Facebook Marketplace, if I'm being honest. And I got $1,000 per room. And basically that gave me $3,000 a month, which is enough to cover my principal and interest payment. So I covered my mortgage, but I had to cover the property tax, the insurance, the HOA, the utilities, which came out to be about $1,500 a month. So I was basically living in this house for $1,500 a month, which is cheaper than rent in the Bay Area. And it's a forced savings because it's going down to my equity, my principal pay down. So, and it kind of taught me to be a landlord. And then, so I thought, okay, I'm good, right? Like I have affordable mortgage, great interest rate, great location, 30 minutes away from my parents' home. It was nice, right? Like I couldn't complain. And then I just said, well, I can rent out these rooms temporarily, but when I am engaged or I want kids and a family, like I'll just rent out maybe 1 or 2 rooms instead of all 3 to give ourselves more privacy. And at one point I was even willing, like if I was stretched thin, like I would have rented out the master bedroom I was living in, and I had a huge living room that like no one was using, and I could put like a partition wall there and just put my mattress down there and all my clothes, and I would have been fine because there's like a half bathroom downstairs, and I just wouldn't need to go upstairs to take a shower once a day, right? Or I went to the gym almost every other day, so like you can shower at the gym, so I don't even need to use a shower. So that's how scrappy I was willing to be at that time in my 20s, when I could afford to be. So from there, I ended up getting another job. So once again, I job hopped, got paid around like, I think $200,000 to be in a daily city. And I just said, okay, well, I'm going to do the same thing, right? Like I saved up another $100,000 because I kept frugal. Like the moment I got my first house, I became even more frugal, right? Because I'm like, you know what? I was buying useless clothes and little gadgets on sale. I mean, it wasn't a lot, but once you buy your first house, you feel tight. It feels tight for the first 6 to 12 months. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to tighten this. I'm really going to watch what I want to buy. And then because I was getting that income from my house hacking, I was able to save $100,000. And because I got the tax benefits of owning a primary residence, I also got a nice check, right, at the end of the year from Uncle Sam. So, basically saved from my second house hack in San Francisco, where I got like a duplex, where it's a up and down unit. So the upper unit was 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath. The lower unit was 2 bedroom, 1 bath with a separate entrance. So I basically rent out the whole bottom unit to 4 college students for about $2,800 a month, including utilities, including internet. And I lived in the upper unit, in the master bedroom, and I rent out 2 rooms in the upper unit for $1,200 each. So I was getting about $5,200 a month in house hacking income, which covered my mortgage once again. And I was living in the house for like another $1,500 in San Francisco, right? That's insane. And I had parking, also insane, in a garage, insane, right? So this is when I became an accidental landlord. And, because I just rented out my last house, I was house hacking it. But then, once I left there, that's when conflicts happened. That's why I'm not a huge fan of the rent by the room model, because the moment you're gone, conflicts arise. When you're there, things are in check. So I just said, I moved them all out, gave them notice, and I rented out the house to the same tenant who lives there today, right? So he's been living there since 2019. Been living there for 6 years now. So now I moved in this house, and once again did the same thing for like 2 years, and that's when I relocated to Southern California. I chased my current wife Christine, so romantic with me. In the middle of COVID, I turned down a great job in Oakland that paid well to move to Orange County, to have a chance to chase Christine. Ended up working out for me because we're married now, and moved to Orange County and got laid off within 7 months of moving to Orange County. And so when I was in Orange County, I did the same process. So I was just getting an apartment because I was like, I don't know this area. I want an apartment. I want my privacy because I'm chasing this girl, right? And if Christine didn't work out, then hey, there's a lot of fish in the sea, right? So from there, I just had an apartment. Said, okay, I'm gonna look for a house with the intent to move in again. So I found a house like near Irvine, and I just basically made a bunch of offers. The market was super competitive during COVID. Interest rates were low at 3%, and I just said, it's a numbers game. So I just made like at least 50 offers, and I eventually sight unseen most of the time, and then eventually I got my property under contract because they had bad photos of the property. So like I think my San Francisco property had bad photos, and the one I bought near Irvine had bad photos, and I got those under contract immediately because I just offered asking price. So I didn't do anything special. Like my first 3 single family homes, I didn't do anything. I just offered asking price. I had the intent of putting 10% down, and I had the intent of house hacking it. So I didn't really know too much, right? And I just figured, well, my last 2 houses are rented out. So my Livermore is rented out, cash flow negative, I think at the time. My San Francisco house was rented out. I think I was making a little bit of cash flow that covered the other property. And then I thought this one, I'm like, well, I'm going to live in this house and I rent out the other 2 rooms again, right? So let's just rinse and repeat that process. So I ended up buying the house, but decided not to move into the house because I got laid off and then had to move closer to I was working in Long Beach at the time. And I was just like, I'm a little unstable right now with my job. So I'll just rent out the house. And if I want to, I can always move into that house, right? If I get a job in Orange County. Still never did get a job in Orange County. It's so competitive there. But that house, I put 10% down, no PMI. It was during COVID, so I locked in a 2.8% interest rate. And I think I rented it out, and I'm like negative cash flow about I think like $400, $500 a month, right? So I just said, once again, I can take the hit. I'm working W-2. So I'm negative, whatever, 500 in my real estate portfolio. And I'm renting a room for or apartment for $2,200. So I was like, okay, it's $2,700 a month. I can afford that, right? I was making probably $180K. And then when I got laid off, after getting laid off the first time in Orange County, that's when the flip switched for me. And I just was like, wow, I have been relying on my W-2 job, and I've seen it firsthand taken away from me. I've seen it taken away from other people who also got laid off. And, I'm from the Bay Area, and tech is very cyclical, and people get laid off all the time. So I just said, I need to get additional streams of income because I don't want to rely on my W-2 forever, right? So that's when I really dived into that FIRE movement. I started listening to a lot of podcasts like Bigger Pockets, kind of mindset podcasts. And then that's when I really, really went in during COVID, going out of state, because I never went out of state. I just bought in my neighborhood, and I bought in my backyard. And that's when I started looking in Huntsville, Alabama, which I bought that property. And I was like, wow, I could buy a house for $250,000. I didn't know houses can even sell for $250,000, and I can rent out for $2,000. Got a 3.5% interest rate, and I cash flow $600 a month. I was like, great, this has cash flow and appreciation, because now I don't want a house hack, right? Because it's a little bit more expensive, and my job is a little bit unstable, and I wanted privacy. So I was enjoying my apartment living life. And then from there, this is part luck, part just taking action. But what happened during COVID? Interest rates dropped and home prices skyrocketed, because when interest rates dropped, people can make more aggressive offers. Call it a black swan event, but all my single family homes that I bought were just appreciating massively. So I took advantage of that. I did a huge cash out refinance and pulled out about $1.2 million. So I lowered my interest rate, pulled out $1.2 million. Now my entire single family home portfolio is cash flow negative, right? But I didn't mind. They're cash flow negative, like I think $2,500 a month, which is high. But I just thought, well, number one, I'm working, I can afford that. Number two, I hope to use that $1.2 million to go buy real estate that cash flows enough that covers that negative $2,500. And that's what I set myself on doing, right? That's why I bought my 26 unit apartment complex, which cash flows, I think today, about $6,000 a month. So that covers the negative from my single family home portfolio. I bought my mobile home park, which I ended up selling for a loss. Like, you don't win them all. But I'm carrying a note of $450K at 5% interest, and that's paying me about $2,300 a month. So that helps cover my single family home portfolio loss. I have my 20 unit apartment complex, which I think cash flows around $1,000 to $1,500. So that one's a little bit break even, but that helps contribute to the cash flow over there as well. And then obviously over time, the rents in my single family home portfolio went up over time, where they're not as cash flow negative. They kind of like break even or maybe make a little bit of money. Like I think the one in Orange County, that one I make a little bit of money now. My first one, I kind of break even. And then my San Francisco, that one makes about $1,000 now. So it helps offset the cost of my negative cash flow single family homes over time, right? And I have now these apartments. So where the no BS happens is I just took consistent action. If you look at my whole story, I just took consistent action, and I basically kept the W-2 job, focused on increasing my W-2 income. Like W-2 income, unless you have a business, is the only way you're going to fund your real estate. And if your W-2 job doesn't pay you a lot, either A, find a W-2 job that pays you more, or B, do a business on the side that can make more than your W-2, right? And still work your W-2. So you have to get active income in a way. And the easiest way for most people is W-2 job. So focus on ways you can make more in your W-2 job. Or do a side business on the side that can make money. So maybe you're flipping real estate. Maybe you're wholesaling real estate. Whatever that is for you, find a way to work a W-2 and do a side business side. Like right now, I'm working W-2 still to this day, and I'm trying to build up my side businesses, right? Of YouTube, of coaching, of, I'm starting to get sponsors now. And maybe, who knows, as I build a personal brand, maybe I'll become a realtor one day, right? And me and Christine will become a realtor couple, and then we'll sell real estate. I'll work with investors. She'll work with like primary residence homeowners, right? So she's fluent in Mandarin, right? And where I live in Los Angeles, that does well, right? So I just basically increased my income. I kept my expense exactly the same. Like I have not, until I moved into this house, I have not lifestyle inflated at all, right? Like I was literally living in a studio on Ocean Avenue in Santa Monica, 450 square foot, me and Christine, small studio. And I owned 90 units at that time, paying $2,200 a month to live there, including valet parking. And, but it was nice. Like we could walk out, go to the beach, go to the pier, go to 3rd Street. Like I was like right there, right? Right on Ocean Avenue. So if you see my early videos, you see me sitting in my little studio apartment. So I didn't lifestyle inflate, and I was probably taking home like $9,000 a month or something like that. And now I moved in this house, and then, obviously now we lifestyle inflate a little bit, right? But I got a job now that pays me significantly more, that it can cover the mortgage and still take home $9,000 a month, right? After that. So it's really a gradual journey, right? So like, if you look at that, that's the core of how I built my wealth to buy real estate. I basically made more money, kept my spending the same, had a lot of margin, used that margin to house hack my first, I think 3 properties I house hacked. And like I said, these properties were cash flow negative when I rented them out, but I could take the hit because I had a W-2 job. I kept my expenses low. And then when I finally owned enough properties, I was like, you know what? I want to have privacy. So I got my own apartment, and that's when I started buying out of state because it was cheaper. So I'd save up money, buy out of state. And then where it became really powerful was during COVID. Interest rates dropped. I did a huge cash out refinance. Not only did I lower my rate, I pulled out a bunch of money, cash flow negative, but I could afford it because I'm working at W2. And then use that money to go buy my 26 unit apartment complex off market using direct mail, where I bought it for $500,000. I put in $300,000 in renovation. I was able to raise the rents on average from $350, which is way below market, to about $700, which is about market, after renovating each unit for about $10,000 to $14,000 each. That took me 2.5 years to do that. Bring in new tenants at higher rents, double the NOI, and I doubled the value. So now it's worth $1.6 million at least. So, and then I bought a mobile home park, ended up selling that for a loss, and I have $450,000 trapped in that deal, but at least I'm getting interest on that payment. So I had a nice tax write-off. You can't win them all. Shiny object syndrome, right? And then I went into my 20 unit where, it's not a home run deal, but it's like a base hit, right? I bought for $350, put in about $100 to fix it up. I'm all in for $450, and it's probably worth around $700,000, $800,000. And because interest rate I locked in was 7%, it's not cash flowing as well. So not a home run deal, but we'll see. We'll see if I want to keep that or if I just sell it and use that to pay off my 26 unit apartment complex. So today I've built up about $6 million plus worth of net worth from real estate equity. I cash flow between $8,000 to $10,000 a month. Obviously it's cyclical. Some months are more, some months are less. So, I'm starting to really, really track my cash flow for each property now on an Excel spreadsheet to see those numbers. Maybe I overestimated it, who knows? But anyways, I'm still working, so it's like no rush. As long as my real estate sustains itself, which I know it does, and it saves up money over time, I'm okay with it, right? Because the point of real estate is to hold it long term and eventually have it paid off. And things will break, but you fix it, and then you slowly optimize your portfolio. It's like that's why I've been lowering my insurance. So it was like I got quotes for Steadily, right? Where click on the link below, but I submitted my address for my single family homes. They gave me a quote. It ended up saving me, I think, about almost $2,000 for 4 properties that I converted over to Steadily, and I converted my insurance on my 26 unit from $30,000 a year to like about $9,000 a year. And then from my 20 unit, I went from $15,000 to about $12,000. So it's still expensive, but I'm like constantly trying to monitor my expenses, right? To keep these properties long-term and then to see really what the cash flow is on the properties. Because like I said, maybe I'm doing worse than I thought. Maybe I overestimated myself, right? But definitely in my portfolio, my 26 unit apartment complex is the one carrying the team. That one makes the most cash flow because the mortgage is like $2,000 a month. It grosses $16K. If expenses are $8,000, I got $2,000 mortgage. That's $10,000. That's cash flow $6,000, right? So that's like my golden goose. That's my cash cow on that. And my 20 unit, it's hit or miss. If I have a major repair, I lose money. If I don't, it makes some money. So it kind of breaks even, I would say. So that's how you do it, right? So it took me over 8 years. So it sounds easy to say, but it takes a process. And I'll be honest, those 8 years flew by. Like I can't even believe that I bought my first apartment complex in 2021, which was like 5 years ago. And I basically stabilized my portfolio. So I finished renovating my 26 unit, my 20 unit, and I sold my mobile home park in November of 2023. It's almost been 2 years since then. And that was like the worst period of my life. And it flew by, right? It literally flew by. Like I cannot believe it's been that long and it flew by. So like, that's the way I did it, right? So, yes, you could say from my journey that I got lucky with low interest rates, COVID, things skyrocketing. But like I said, in the moment when I was buying it, I didn't expect these things to happen, right? All I did was I took the power in my hands and control what I control. And what I control is I could save up the down payment. I could buy the house. I can live in the house, rent out the rooms, and I still work the W-2. And I knew that if push came to shove, I would literally rent out all the rooms and just sleep in the living room or the family room and put up a little partition, right? Like that's how scrappy I would have been. If I was really that pinched financially, I would have probably picked up another job because I was willing working Monday through Friday. I could work on the weekends. I basically would do whatever it takes to make these properties succeed. And that's what the mindset I had, right? Like I said, I owned 90 units of real estate at one point, losing $10,000 a month. I was working. I was like depressed. And even today, like I still work at W2, despite my portfolio being stabilized, because I want to save more money to buy more real estate, right? Because I know I got maybe a good 5 years in me in working, but the moment I have kids, kid one, kid two, maybe my priorities will change and I don't want to work anymore, right? And I want to give time for my other side business to build up, right? I'm building up my personal brand on YouTube, trying to build up coaching. Coaching is not as popular anymore compared to like COVID days. Building up the school community over time, and then maybe, like you said, maybe Christine and I will become real estate brokers and agents and build a little team there, because I don't think selling real estate is that difficult. The hard part is getting a client that's serious, but that takes time to build over years and years and years. So I can afford to do that now because we're both, Christine and I, working high income W-2s. And that's why, like, even to net right now, we are dangerous in buying real estate because like, me and Christine both make W-2 incomes. I have my real estate income portfolio over here. So now we have even more buying power to like make aggressive offers. That's how we bought the 53rd unit all cash, hoping to do the cash out refinance, pull out most of my money in the deal, take that money and go buy another deal, right? And I end up leaving like hopefully $0 in the deal, but I don't mind leaving $20,000 in the deal. So what, right? And then I buy another one, leave another $20,000 in the deal. That's nothing. $20,000 is nothing, right? Especially in California. So it's really, that's all it is, right? So increase your income, keep your expenses as low as possible, whether that's house hacking, whether that's renting a room, whether that's living at home with your parents. Take that margin and go buy real estate, knowing that after you buy the real estate, you're gonna feel broke. So, and know that if your real estate doesn't go well, and there'll be periods of it not going well, that you might have to make some sacrifice. Maybe you're living in the living room. Maybe you have to pick up extra job or shift, right? And then you do that. And then once equity appreciates, you can 1031 exchange your single family homes into apartment complexes, learn how to renovate that, manage that, do that. And then once you've built these systems and these processes, it gets easier and easier. Like at this point for me, if I want to buy another apartment in Oklahoma City, it's easy, right? I just need to find the deal. So I'll show you guys using REI Simply, who I'm partnering with. They're like PropStream, but better. And from there, like I have a team there. I have a general contractor. I have a great property manager. They're eager and ready for my next deal, right? But the problem is I just haven't found a deal yet, and they're not bringing me the deals. So that's really what it is, right? But if I got another apartment complex, it'd be passive. I just buy the deal. I know how much it's gonna cost to renovate it, about 10 to 15K per unit. I have a great team there. It's gonna be pretty passive. I have to touch base with them maybe twice a week for like maybe 30 minutes. Or if I buy new builds in Huntsville, Alabama, which I am, like I forgot I even bought it, right? Like I'm literally at this point waiting for it to rent out. I'm just waiting for my property manager to call me one day, hey, it's rented out. I'm like, great, how much? And then I'll engage my lender and be like, hey, I'm ready to do a cash out refinance. Like, what are your terms? So that's really what I am, looking for. That's really, really what I'm looking for with that. So that's how I achieved like financial freedom of real estate in about 8 years, starting with $250,000 of student debt and having zero knowledge about real estate. It was a very organic process. Yes, it may take you longer depending on what market you're in, but I know people who like live in Oklahoma and they scale to 50 units, and these homes are $100,000 homes. I'm like, that gets us nothing in California. So there's ways to get there, but you just have to like find the niche that works for you. That's your unfair advantage. So for me, it's California. For me, it's Huntsville, Alabama. For me, it's Oklahoma City. Those three areas are my unfair advantage. I'm not going to deviate from that. I'm just going to continue buying where I know, where I have a team, where I have systems in place, right? Like, why would I not? That's why I want to buy more in Huntsville, Alabama. I want to buy one every quarter because I know that area. I know what to expect. I know what to do, right? I have a team there. So that's really the goal. That's really the objective that I want to do. So anyways, hope you found value from this video. Just wanted to give you a no fluff, no BS guide to how I obtain financial freedom using real estate. And if I really wanted to juice up my retirement, I could sell two of my single family homes, which have high equity, not much cash flow, use that to pay off this house, no more mortgage. So that saves me $5,000 a month, and use that to pay off two of my apartment complex, or most of my two apartment complexes, which would reduce that loan by about another $5,000 a month. So I could reduce my expenses by $10,000 a month and still make, $8,000 to $10,000 no, at that point I'd reduce, I would reduce my cash flow by $10,000. So that's a $10,000 swing, right? And then at that point, it's even less risky because I have this house paid off, no more mortgage, and 2 apartments paid off. So now I own like, I think 51 units, almost free, most of it free and clear. Out of 51 units, like I think 47 would be owned free and clear. The rest I had some debt on it. So that's where real estate gets like powerful, right? And then once I pay off debt and I have a new strong foundation, I can continue to scale again if I want to, right? And that's what I hope to do. I hope to continue to scale, but I need to focus on building another active business, right? So like I really preach what I do what I say, what I preach, right? So anyways, if you want to join my school community on a free trial, click on my link tree down below. It's a free trial for 7 days and it's $1 a day after that. If you want to steadily landlord insurance quote, click on my link down below. You can get a quote. It's pretty easy. It's like 2-3 minutes. If you save money, great. If you don't, then at least you know that your current policy is good. If you want one-on-one coaching, you want mentorship, click on my link tree as well. It has all the links, and also in the link tree is my email. So you can send me an email if you have questions, if you want to connect, or you have questions about anything, send me an email. I usually respond to them. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.